okay? So today we are gonna learn a little bit about how the brain works, okay? I'm gonna keep it pretty simple so we don't get too nerdy and sciencey, but this will explain a lot to you about why we tend to go off the rails late in the day. So the deal is that we all have a measure of willpower, and willpower is an exhaustive thing, meaning that it runs just like a battery, it runs out, okay? So typically in the day, we get the day, I know you guys have probably heard me mention this before, earlier in the day, we have a lot of gumption and we're like, yes, I'm doing this thing. I'm going to get started. I'm doing great today. And you get on a roll. You've got your breakfast going and it's super healthy and you got your workout in there and things are going. You drink your water and you've gone for a walk. You're heading to work. Everything's going smooth. The morning is fun. And then as the day goes on, things tend to wear a little thin. Maybe a few things go wrong. Maybe your inbox is just loaded and you can't get to it. And maybe one of the kids is sick at school, and maybe just all these stressors come in, new things on your plate. You get to lunch, you've planned, you brought your lunch with you, so you're doing pretty good there with the lunch, and you already had it going, and so you have your lunch, maybe you even get a walk in the afternoon, and then as the day wears on, your boss comes in and adds another thing to your plate, so you get off work late, and then you're in traffic that you weren't expecting to be in because you got off work late, and things are just starting to fall apart, okay? So as the day goes on, our gumption that we woke up with in the morning starts to wane and get less and less and less, and the weight of the world starts to get heavier and heavier and heavier. Okay, so if you haven't already planned, now this coming month we're going to be talking a lot about meal prep and planning, partially getting ready for the holidays because it's really important to have planned ahead and get yourself prepared when times get crazy. So starting in on that now is that now we've taken that day and it's the end of the day and we're starting to wane and we're just, notice this. When you get in your car today, I want you to notice that you position your rear view mirror to a place where you can see safely, right? When you get in later in the day, I want you to notice today if you have to readjust your rear view mirror for the sake of our posture has changed throughout the day. Quite often, we start the day like ready to go, all nice and tall, and then as the day goes on, the weight of the world is kind of slumping. So I want you to notice that today, number one, if you find that you have to readjust the rear view mirror. What I would rather you do is readjust your posture, because as you readjust that posture, you're kind of resetting your brain for not feeling like the weight of the world is squishing me down. And that's so important when it comes to your eating habits, because what happens is now we get home, it's 6 o'clock at night, there's nothing planned for a meal, so you open the fridge and you stand in front of it and you're trying to figure out what to have for dinner. Okay, so the problem with this is that there's an area in your brain, the frontal cortex, that when you're trying to make a decision, it's working hard. The problem is that our willpower cannot work when this part of the brain is working, all right? So it's almost a sick joke that when we are faced with a decision on what to eat, our willpower shuts down. So we are kind of left to our own devices, which usually is whatever is simple and whatever is in front, which usually turns out to be like oranges and popcorn or crackers and cheese and lunch meat or something like that, okay? So sometimes when you can understand that, number one, the weight of the world has worn your willpower down throughout the day, and then if you don't have anything pre-planned to eat, and then you're standing in front of the fridge trying to decide, our willpower is not able to work while the decision-making part of our brain is working hard. So I hope that lets a little light go on for you, because that can solve a lot of problems. A simple solution to that is to have your meals planned throughout the week. Even if meal planning seems like a really big thing to you, maybe you can pick one meal. And I would suggest that meal of the day would be to plan the dinner meal. Pick 5 days during the busy week that you're going to plan a dinner meal, because that is the time when your brain, as I said, that your willpower has exhausted, and now you're relying on a weak willpower to make a decision, which, as I said, when you're trying to make a decision, that willpower part of the brain is shut down. So you're not having the strength to make a decision that's a healthy decision on the spot. So if you have it pre-planned and ready to go, no decision necessary. You don't have to rely on willpower. You just rely on what you already planned to have for dinner, and it's a piece of cake. So one of my clients today, she sent me yesterday her whole meal plan, and I was able to kind of tweak it a little bit here and there, but she left her session this morning, went home, dumped her stuff in the crock pot, and is feeling awesome. So she is starting the day riding high because she got her workout in. She got her meal all ready to go. So she has a walk planned for this evening with a group. So she has this day set up for massive success. And yes, it's just one day. And it might seem like, well, that's just one day. It's just one walk. It's just one workout. It's just one meal. But when she gets through that day and she's feeling success after success after success, and in the evening, she's got this awesome meal laid before her because she planned ahead, she's going to feel this awesome sense of reward that she feels like she's winning in life. And the brain, when the brain receives a reward like that, it wants to do that activity over and over and over. So for this client, this is a huge thing because she's going to have this brain reward at the end of the day that's going to make her want to do this again and again and to plan ahead and to be successful, so that at the end of a long day, she is not left having to make a decision with a weakened willpower. Okay, so that in a nutshell is how willpower works and why it is so important to have meals planned out. And again, if you feel like planning every single meal is just too much, then just go with the knowledge that the willpower is weak in the late day and have your evening meals planned out. Excuse me. Keep it as simple as possible. Now, one thing that I do, I asked this client, well, what was the hardest part of meal planning and prep for you? And she said the hardest part was picking and choosing the meals and which day and where to put what. So what I do is I usually look at my craziest, busiest days. First of all, I do a lot of pinning on Pinterest, and I collect my resources in my little boards, which I have Pinterest boards. You're welcome to follow. I'm Missy Ballison on Pinterest, Missy Ballison Fitness on Pinterest. And I have the boards divided into breakfasts and lunches and healthy soups, stews and chilies, main dishes, different things like that. So they're easy to find. So I go through my boards, I look at my week, figure out which are the craziest days, which days do I need to use the crock pot, which days do I have a little more time to cook. And then I pluck in the fact that I want to have beef 1 or 2 times a week, fish 1 or 2 times a week, and a chicken 1 or 2 times a week. And then usually I'm going to have some leftovers in there, maybe some pork or something like that. So I kind of look at that, and I figure this to make sure it's all balanced. Sometimes it's really easy to have a week filled with beef if you're not thinking about the different kinds of protein sources. So I kind of look at that, and then I pluck in those things based on the days that I have time to cook and the days that I don't have time to cook. So break it down just super simply. So you have two calls to action I have for you today. One is notice about that rear view mirror in the day, okay? I have three for you. Right now, I want you to decide what you're having for dinner tonight. Even if it means having to run to the store on your lunch break or picking up something super simple like a rotisserie chicken and salad, just something so that when you get home, you know what you're having for food. So you don't fall into the popcorn and orange syndrome, okay? That was number one. Number two, I want you to sit with your rear view mirror today. Get in the car, see where it is, get it all adjusted, and then when you get back in the car tonight, see how you have to readjust that rear view mirror. Sit yourself up nice and tall and change your perspective and kind of revamp your mindset instead of letting the evening kind of take hold and bring you down. All right, and the third one is when you have time later today, plan those other meals. Just pick a few other meals for the rest of this week and get those plugged in and make yourself prepared just to at least know. Don't worry about prepping it right now, but just at least know what you're going to be eating for the rest of the week. And that's your homework.